listening to The Dime with Josh Rodriguez, your weekly go-to podcast for all things NBA. And now, your host, Josh Rodriguez.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to The Dime, presented by the Ballislife Podcast Network. Jason Tatum and the Celtics take down the Sixers in Game 7, and now the conference finals matchups are set. Kwab and I preview the Final Four and play a quick version of Trust, Marry, Kill. But first, before we get started, you can follow The Dime on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at The Dime NBA. I'm Josh Rodriguez at Josh_Rodriguez_. Kwab's at Kwab, a.k.a. Yes. You can catch all episodes of The Dime with Josh and Kwab on the Ballislife Podcast Network. Just type in Ballislife Podcast Network. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you turn on notifications. Make sure you give a like to all of our episodes and leave a comment so that we can play it or put it on the show. We also have, like I said before, our own YouTube channel, The Dime with Josh and Kwab. Make sure you search and subscribe to that as well. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, if you're listening on Spotify, make sure you like, make sure you follow, or give 5 stars. Leave a comment, whatever they do now in the audio space. I need you to do it, ladies and gentlemen. Kwab, how are you, man? Happy Mother's Day to Mama Kwab.
Thank you, man. Happy Mama's Day to Mama Josh, to you too. Also, Josh.
I'll let Mama Josh know that
Mama
you said
Josh
that.
know. I'll let Mama Kwab know you said that too, brother.
All right, let's get straight into this. Sixers Celtics Game 7 in Boston. The Celtics won 112-88. Dominant third quarter, which basically put the game away for the Celtics early. Jason Tatum with 51 points, the most points in a Game 7. I think I heard Mike Breen say that at the end. He was unbelievable. 17 of 28, 6 from 10 from three-point range. Listen, before we even get started analyzing this, I took a break from Twitter. I had to take a break from Twitter because the basketball discourse in Twitter has just been completely toxic and just unreal.
What? On Twitter? No.
Yeah, man.
No way.
You'd be surprised. You'd be so surprised, Kwab, if I told you. I know. This idea that Jason Tatum isn't him or whatever the fuck that means, that Jason Tatum isn't like a superstar or a star in this league, that Jason Tatum's a fraud is so nonsensical. People are such prisoner of the moments. Like if he has a bad game or if a star has a bad game, then all of a sudden they're not him, or they can't be someone who leads their team to a final, or they're not someone you can rely on in close situations. This dude has been one of the best players in the league for years now. He has been to the Eastern Conference Finals multiple times, has been to the finals. He's won an Eastern Conference Finals MVP for what it's worth. I know it's a new award that maybe people don't take too seriously. We as a sports community, this is a plea. This is a plea to people who do podcasts. This is a plea for everybody in the media. If someone has a bad game, let them have a freaking bad game. That's it. It's a bad game. It happens. Until this guy shoots 35% from the floor and averages 16 points and 6 turnovers, he's not a bum. He's Jason Tatum. He's one of the best players in the league. I don't care where you have him. You could have him in top 10, top 15, top 5, whatever. But this fact that there's a narrative going around that he's not the dude is just so nonsensical. He comes through with 51 points. And if he has a bad game one in the conference finals, those people will be right back talking crap about him. But I had to show him love just because, honestly, this discourse around NBA stars and what they bring to the table has just become so toxic to me that I don't even feel like I'm having logical discussions with people anymore. It's just so reactionary. Jason Tatum goes 4 for 15 and all of a sudden he's not good anymore. Shout out to Jason. Shout out to the Celtics. I just needed to get that off my chest, Kwab.
I mean, hey, that's fine. I just wanted to add to that, a little bit to that, is that basketball discourse is not based on logic. It's not. It's never going to be, especially now. It's not. There's discourse that is based on logic, but that's not. It's a lot of gotcha. It's let's get this joke off moments. And that's
You're right.
That's what people want. People are waiting. People are waiting for the failure to happen so they can get these jokes off. And that's been the discourse and the narrative for a while now.
No, that's a great point. Also, they pick their favorite players, and when they do well, they boost them up. They pick a hater or someone to hate on, and when they do bad, they just clown on them, and it's just kind of annoying. But whatever. Let's move on to the game. Jason Tatum, 51 points. Jaylen Brown, also good game, 9 of 19 for 25 points. Danilo Gallinari, 0 for 0 points.
Why is the Rooster continuing to catch shots from here?
Just a dominant third. Kwab, I'll kick it to you. Is this more about the Celtics being a better team, or is it just the Sixers not coming through again? Is that the DNA of the Sixers?
It's a little bit of both. I had the Celtics winning this in 6. It shouldn't. Yeah. To me, it shouldn't have gone to 7. There were a lot of stupid low IQ plays happening on both sides during the course of the series. There are games that the Celtics should have won that they let go, and there are games the Sixers should have won, like the last game where they kind of just let go. To me, the more talented team was the Celtics. The team that had the players I trusted more was the Celtics coming into it. The team that had the coach I trusted more was not on
Mm.
either team. Um, not on either team.
Yeah.
So this game 7 really wasn't. I guess it wasn't that much of a surprise to me. I didn't think it was going to be a blowout. I thought the Celtics were going to win, but I didn't think it was going to be such a big blowout. But as it was happening, when things start going bad for the Sixers, you can see by their body language, like,
Yeah.
and that includes the coaches, the players. There's a lot of side eyes, kind of blaming. Like it happened in Game 6 where I think Doris Burke made she made the comment. They were down, I think 8 or 10 with like a minute 30 or so left. They ran a possession where they didn't score, and it was like Harden and Embiid kind of had your head down, like walking back on defense. And
Yeah.
Doris Burke was like, "There's still time left in the game. You don't just give up. You
Yeah.
don't give up." And even the game before that, there was the moment of the series was supposedly the moment of the series was when PJ Tucker had that end one, and he was yelling at Embiid to like, "Yo, let's go! Like you're not Al Horford can't guard you. Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Like, pick it up." So the Sixers always had like you were just kind of waiting for it to come crashing down, and it kind of did. So like, I'm not that shocked by it. I know the homies I got in like Philly or whatever are gonna tell me I'm still being a hater because the Sixers swept us. And by us, I mean the Nets. I'm not. Like I said before, when it comes to the Sixers, I didn't trust them winning a championship. Doc's gonna doc. Embiid might get hurt. The foul baiting is not gonna work all the time, and then you have moments like this with Harden getting outscored by PJ Tucker in a game 7, which is insane to even state. That's like an
Yeah.
insane statement to make. So yeah, that's because that's what it is. This Phillies going Philly, baby.
Yeah, it's interesting because in the third quarter, they just lost all aggression. Like, that's how it looked like to me watching the game, where it's like, Harden got to the hole a few times, but he ended up kicking the ball out. And it's almost like, I don't want to say they panicked, but it was almost like, okay, a two is not going to do here. We need a three to stop momentum, or we need a three to kind of keep up with them. And they were trying to match what Tatum was doing and what everybody else was doing on the opposite end. And they just like didn't play basketball, or they would just hold the ball, or it was just a really weird thing to watch. I don't think it was an effort thing. I just think they lost themselves. And I think that kind of does go to coaching, where it's like, if things get tough, like, you have to instill in your team, like, okay, this is who we are. This is our identity. Let's get back to that. And they didn't really do that. There were plenty of times where the shot clock went down to 0, and like you see Embiid hoisting a three. This happened twice, like a
Yeah,
fadeaway three from like 30, 35 feet, because they can't get anything going. And it's like, well, you're just kind of isolating, or you're just kind of dribbling around the perimeter. You're not really moving the ball. You're not really doing much. How can you expect to get a good shot off, especially against a Boston defense, which last year was phenomenal. They were not as good this year, but last year was one of the best defenses that we've seen in a long time. So for me, it was just almost like Philly didn't trust themselves. Like what you just said about Philadelphia, it's almost like they believe that about themselves as well. And I think that, each team has a personality and each team has a certain DNA. But if the public is telling you this is your DNA, honestly, I think it's on the coach, and I think it's on the team and an organization to kind of like reverse that and say, hey, this is what people are saying about us. Like, let's show them, let's prove them wrong. And it's almost like the Sixers are different, where they were just kind of like, they fell into it and they believed it themselves. That's what it felt like.
I don't want to put it on, I guess, one player, but it just felt like they kind of went how the team seems to go how like James Harden plays.
Yeah.
With like game 1, he had an amazing game. The next couple of games, he had really rough games. They lost.
Yeah.
Now, my whole thing with Harden is like he doesn't have to. You don't need game 1 Harden. You don't need him to put up 45 points or whatever it was for the team to win, but you need some consistency from
Yeah.
your number 2 or your number 1B guy. You need him to show up. And B didn't have a good game himself, but James has the ball in his hands for majority of the time. And it felt like a lot of times he would just come down, they would throw it to Embiid, and everybody would just stand around and watch. if they got doubled, Harden, I mean, if Embiid got doubled, he'd have got stripped. Sometimes they'll kick out the ball too late. Watching the game, it just felt like, okay, especially when the third quarter hit, it was like, okay, well, the Celtics are the better team, and you're ready to show it. And like I said before, the Sixers are just like ready to go home. They're just like head down, like they're just
Yeah.
letting everything pile on them.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the weaknesses of the Sixers offense too is like Embiid likes the ball on the elbow, like on that nail right there. And what Boston would do is basically, all right, well, you catch the ball there. We'll have Horford kind of like face guard you, but we're all collapsing in the paint. So there's really nowhere for you to go. And the adjustment that I thought Doc should have made was either A, get Embiid in the pick and roll more often, or just send his ass to the block, man. Like you got to get him in a different position. I understand he likes that spot and that's his sweet spot for a jumper. But Embiid is bigger than Horford. He's, you know what I mean? You got to get him in different positions and find different ways for him to score the basketball. And there was like no variation there. You know, if you're going to tell me that Maxi's going to have 17 points on 5 of 12, Tobias Harris should have 19 points at 7 of 13, like before the game, and that Dwayne Dedman was going to go 0 for 0 for 0 points, I would have said the Sixers have a really good shot of winning this game. Like this, like they got contributions from people who they needed to get contributions from outside of Harden and Embiid. Like that's always been my problem with the Sixers. I think I said it last episode where it was like literally only 4 or 5 people like score the basketball on this team.
Yeah,
Like there are games where it's like, oh, only 4 or 5 people scored today. Like that's the Sixers. And then when you have Embiid and Harden not scoring the basketball, I mean, you're going to lose. So to me, from the Harden perspective, it was he wasn't aggressive enough going to the rim or when he was at the rim, not finishing. And from an Embiid perspective, I just think he didn't get the ball in the right places. And he wasn't aggressive enough going to the hoop. Like he caught the ball, right? And then he kind of ISO'd and did a mellow where he would like jab step or wait, you know, instead of just turning, facing, and making a move and being decisive with the basketball. And he played right into Boston's hands. And on the other end, Jason Tatum, man, like I said, shout out to him because he balled out. But the Celtics advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. Before we get into our predictions, Kwab, let's talk about the teams that were ousted in the semifinals, both East and West. Let's stick with the Sixers. What now, man? I mean, there's rumors that Harden is going to go to Houston. You know, this is another year with Embiid as your best player, and you come up short once again. You have an opportunity to close out at home, and you don't do it. What Doc Rivers, like, you know, I doubt there are Sixers fans out there that want him to be retained as head coach for another year. So if you're the GM of the Sixers, like, what do you do? What's next for the Sixers? What now?
Like you mentioned the 3 factors. What's going to happen with Harden? Is he going to resign, or are the rumors true that he wants to go back to Houston? That Houston rumor has been going on since like before the All-Star break. I feel like it's really weird.
It's a weird rumor because
It's
they
a
suck.
weird rumor. Yeah,
They suck. It's like, why would you want to go back?
Why would Houston want him back? Also, in addition,
Right?
Like if they're trying to go to a younger core and build, like it's a weird. But after when you keep hearing it, it's like, okay, is this gonna happen? It's weird. I'll be surprised if Doc Rivers is not fired. Like if they're like, oh, we're just gonna run it back next year. Like Doc Rivers in his last 9 games to make it to the conference finals, 9 games to make it since 2015. Game 5 lost. Game 6 lost. Game 7 lost. 2017 lost. 2020 Game 5, 6, and 7 loss. 2021 Game 7 loss. 2023 loss. That's his last 9 games to make it to a conference finals. A lot of times when stuff like this happens, the coach is going to get the blame. Like you said, there could have been situations he could have put it and beat in a better scoring opportunity or what else, or have the team have like the mindset, a better mindset moving forward. But you see rumors online or about people saying that is this when Embiid starts like questioning if he wants to be here and all that. I don't think Embiid wants to leave Philly, but they need to figure out what the next step is, because they had a great year. They had a great year, but they had title aspirations. And when you fall short like this, I think it's always like, if it was a close game and they lost in a close, like it was a buzzer beater or it was like a 4-point game or something like that, you can kind of rationalize like, okay, we just got beat. If we made a little bit of adjustment here and there, we would have won and we'd have been moving on. But to lose like this in a Game 7 where it's a must win and it feels like your 2 top players didn't show up, there's going to be some changes.
Yeah, there has to be changes. There's just no way you could run this back. I'm not even saying Harden has to go. I mean, I personally would like to keep Harden. I still think there's value in James Harden, even if he's not one of the best players in the league anymore. he's definitely still a top guard, an upper echelon guard in the league.
I
When I
mean,
say
he led the league in assists. Like,
yeah. So again, there's value in James Harden. I do think they need a few other players on the roster who can put the ball in the hoop. I think that's pretty vital. But I also think that they need a new framework or a new just mindset. Again, like I said, it felt like they bought into their own narrative, to the public's narrative. Like, here goes the Sixers again. Oh, this is what the Sixers do. It's almost like they believe that themselves. And to me, the only way to kind of change that is to have like a big victory, or to have someone kind of just totally just instill that in you, kind of in a way that, and Knicks fans might get mad at this, but the kind of the way like Tibbs did with the Knicks, where it's like the Knicks were this loser ass culture for such a long time, and Tibbs came in, and you could say whatever you want about it, and we'll get to that in a second, but he installed a culture of like expectations, and this is not who we are anymore, and like, you know, teams are not going to talk about us like this anymore. They're not going to come into the garden and whip us anymore. And I think they need something like that. I just don't know where you get that. I don't know who's available, you know, to replace Doc. I don't know. Okay, go ahead. I see hands in the air. Go ahead.
I hear what you're saying. I don't even know about Doc. He said they need players to kind of step in and score. Would you
Don't
be
do it.
interested? Would you be interested in one Dylan
No,
Brooks?
no.
Would you be interested in one? Okay, just
Say
throwing
it.
out
Just
there.
say it.
Would you be interested in Dylan the villain? Just Philly. Just to my Philly listeners, would you all be interested in Dylan?
I kind of would be.
Oh, okay. You kind of see it.
First of all, he's a top defender in the league. Say whatever you want about him. All NBA defense, second team.
If you think that Philly fans are gonna give grace to Dylan, well, about all the stuff they give to Tobias Harris, even though Tobias Harris has had a solid playoffs.
Yeah.
Had a solid playoffs. How much flack he catches because he has a big contract. Like, how much flack he catches every game.
Are we not going to sit here and lie to ourselves and say that Dylan Brooks is not the personification of what Philadelphia as a city would be? Like, if you were to make Philadelphia into a person, it's Dylan Brooks.
Nah.
It's Dylan Brooks.
Nah.
If you were to make Philadelphia into a basketball player, it's Dylan Brooks.
I can't do that, man.
You can't do that.
That man's out of his mind, bro. I got too many.
And Philadelphia fans aren't out of their minds.
I can't. I got too many connections in Philly. You
can't co-sign that.
I can't co-sign that vocally. I can give you that look. Give you that look right there. Somebody, if you're watching the video, I'm like, I can't say that out loud.
Let's move on to the other Eastern Conference team that was ousted by the Miami Heat, New York Knicks. Where do they go from here? Stephen A. Smith immediately got on whatever he did. I don't know if it was Twitter. I don't know if it was a broadcast. I went on to Twitter. Basically was sick to his stomach and furious and wants nothing to do with Julius Randle anymore. Wants to trade for Damian Lillard.
Stephen A. Smith got on right after the game. He was disgusted, and he was like, I was disgusted at Julius Randle. They need to trade him either for Dame or Karl Anthony Towns. I don't know the logic of either team making that trade, like bring it, like, not, and this is not me hating on Julius Randle. I can't see it where like the Timberwolves are like, no, take Cat, we'll take Julius Randle. That's one. Two, Stephen A. Smith making that statement makes me like wonder, did he watch Cat during the playoffs? Has he seen Cat during the past playoffs? Like, are you being okay, cool. And then he said that the Dame would like, Dame, he could see Dame playing next to Jalen Brunson because they do it with Quentin Grimes.
Quentin Grimes is my favorite Nick. Quentin Grimes is actually my favorite, my most favorite Nick that I've had in a while. To compare Grimes to Damian Lillard is like asinine. And then on top of that, it's not just they do it with Quentin Grimes. He's also like, well, it's two guards that you can play together. And it's like, you obviously haven't watched Jalen Brunson or Damian Lillard play basketball. It doesn't make sense from a basketball standpoint. Damian Lillard does not play off the ball. Neither does Jalen Brunson. And then on top of that, no offense to either one of them because they're both fantastic players. Good luck guarding the rim with Damian Lillard and Jalen Brunson as your two guards. Because as much as I love Jalen Brunson, they picked on him. This idea that they have to immediately trade for a star to get better is so toxic. And it goes back to what I was saying about Jason Tatum, where it's just like there's easy fixes, there's easy narratives, there's just all these things. There's just like no nuance anymore. Did Julius Randle have a bad series? Did he have a bad game? Yes, he did. Are there things about Julius Randle that I dislike as a fan? Absolutely. But I could also take a step back and say, well, without Julius Randle making, I don't know, NBA all third team, like it was third team all NBA. It's not like he's a freaking scrub. They don't get the 5 seed. They're not where they're at. On the other hand, he also turned his ankle right before the series and missed game 1. So it's not like this dude was 100% going out there 100% on a great ankle with full. He was giving everything he had. Now, again, there are a lot of beefs I have with Julius Randle, but I don't think the option is, all right, let's just give away a guy who's third team all NBA or trade just for the hell of it for someone who, I don't know, it just has equally as big as name as him. It just doesn't make any sense. My thing with the Knicks, it's not Julius that has to go. It's not Tibbs that has to go, but Julius and Tibbs has to go. Does that make sense? Not both of them, but that like combination, you have to break them up. Tibbs enables Julius's worst qualities. That's my problem with Tibbs. When Julius is at his best, he's driving, he's getting into the paint, and he's kicking to the open man. When Julius is at his best, he's bully ball, he gets in the paint. Yeah, he might shoot a fadeaway, but it's like a 12-footer, it's a 10-footer. He's fine. When Julius is at his worst, it's whenever he has a green light to shoot whenever the hell he wants. He's taking step-back threes when it is you have no business taking step-back threes. You're taking these difficult, contested fadeaway shots. You basically are playing like someone who has a green light that should not have a green light. And Julius, he should have somewhat of a green light, but it should be under the confines of, hey, attack the hoop, get into the paint, and look for others. Because I do think there is a value in Julius Randle's ability to get to the paint and create for others, because he does that very well when he wants to do that. It's just that Tibbs looks at him as like this scorer, I guess, a 3-level scorer when he's really not. So to me, Julius needs a coach who's going to come in and say, cut the shit out. This is not you. I know you want to do it sometimes. Take threes when you're open, but this is what I need you to do, and this is for the betterment of the team. In game 5, when Julius in the second half came and got into the paint, drived and kicked, that's when the whole thing opened up for the Knicks. The one thing about the Knicks that pissed me off is that when you watch them play, Jalen Brunson and Julius are probably the only two people who are threats to score at any given half-court possession. When you watch the Celtics play, it's like, well, anyone can score at any given time. When you watch the Lakers play, it's like, well, anyone could score at any given time. When you watch the Nuggets play, it's the same thing. Anyone could score at any given time. And that's my problem with the Knicks. Offensively, they just need a whole different scheme, and I don't know if Tibbs is capable of it. So for me, I don't know if I would make any changes because they've just completely overachieved this year. But there is like a level that they need to go to, which I'm not sure if the combination of Tibbs and Julius can take them.
I'll say even the teams you mentioned, like I would actually even add the Heat to that, because it's like we're watching them play against the Knicks. In one of the group chats I have, I made the statement, was like, the difference in the game is that you have one team that's moving the ball to get open shots or easier shots, and the other team is relying heavily on Jalen Brunson, and that was the whole game. The way that Julius Randle played in the playoffs and how Jalen Brunson played in the playoffs is the reason why the team got as far as it did. That's been how they've structured the way to play. Like, there's a lack of ball movement. Like, there's so many multiple times where they could just get off the ball and have belief that you're going to get the ball back. Right. And I feel like they don't play with that trust. Like, if you watching the Heat, there were multiple times where like Jimmy Butler is quick to give up the ball when he sees a double team.
Yeah, he's
Kyle Lowry.
You're doubling me? Okay.
Go.
Okay.
Yeah. So now it's like you're trusting in your teammates. You're trusted in the other players, the shooters that you have around you to give a chance. And when watching the Knicks, it was just like, even the last play where Jalen Brunson kind of held the ball in the double, then threw like
he had Josh Hart wide open. And I don't want to pick on Jalen because I mean he was fantastic, but it was just a microcosm of what the Knicks are. You get doubled and you try to force something, you try to dribble out of it when you have the open man right there, man. He's right there. And it's been like that all series.
All series.
The Heat were soft doubling, even times tripling Jalen and Julius, and they were hesitant to make the open passes. Why are you hesitant to make the open passes?
Because there's the level of trust. And I told you when I said,
is that trust or is that Tibbs saying this is what our offense is going to be? Because if I'm the coach, I am in a film session hammering that, hammering that down. Like, this dude is open when this happens. This is open when it happens. You have to make that pass. You have to make that pass. And he never did.
When they make the times when they do try to make the pass and you have misses from like open shots, then as a player, you're like, no, I'm not giving the ball up. Because the whole Heat defense was predicated on getting the ball out Julius Randle hands, and then it was doubling hard on Brunson to get the ball off his hands. It was like somebody else is going to beat us, so somebody else has to take the open shots, and you have to be confident in taking those shots. But even there's no flow if you're not touching the ball consistently. There's no flow. So I don't know how many you know this, how many possessions where it's just the player, if it's Julius or Jalen, coming down, dribbling the air out the ball, and taking and making one ridiculous tough shots. And everybody's like, "Oh, what a shot!" And from a basketball standpoint, me and you were watching it. We're like, "That went in," but like that was a ridiculous. That was a tough shot.
Yeah,
Like
and
that's a tough shot. Like
and
you
that's
could have.
yeah, that's my concern going into next year. Where it's like Julius and Jalen had such great years making tough shots and going ISO and had great individual years. But what if like next year that's not working? And that's what happened. The year after the Knicks made the 4 seed.
Yep.
Julius kind of came back down to earth. The ISO wasn't really working. They had additions in Fournier and Kemba that didn't really work out. Like, what if that happens again? Like, you got to be a team. Like, RJ Barrett, you can say whatever you want about RJ. I don't think he's a superstar. I don't think he's an all-star, but he's a capable basketball player in the NBA. He's a very good 3, maybe 4 on a championship team. I truly believe that. You just don't score 30 points. You just don't do that multiple times. I mean, you don't score high. You just don't. I mean, there's a lot that I think he can improve on. I think he's very predictable. I think he just drives left and finishes awkwardly, but sometimes he makes it, sometimes he doesn't. He can hit an open 3, but RJ's capable. Quentin Grimes is capable of hitting an open 3. Josh Hart, when he's confident, can hit that open 3. You have to trust your teammates, and I would rather go out like that than you doing a step back jumper, step back 3. And the difference between Jalen and Julius to me was shot selection. Even though Jalen kind of like took it upon himself, he was trying to get into paint. It was floaters. They were step back mid-range jumpers. He would take 3s every once in a while, but it wasn't like sometimes I watch Julius Randle play and it seems like he's making things more difficult than it has to be on purpose.
Yeah, I'll say that during the regular season when they played the Heat, and we talked about this, where like he took a sidestep 3-pointer where he's like fading into the crowd and he hit it. And while he's taking, I'm like, that's a terrible shot. It's splash, and he's like, I'm like that. I'm like, okay, I guess if it's going in, it's great. If you're missing it, it's just like, yo, what the heck are you doing?
Right.
I don't know if a couple of changes you guys might need to do, and apart from just like making sure there's better ball movement, is having, I guess, more 3-and-D players, just understanding that you're going to load up on Jalen now. You're going to load up on Julius because it's a copycat league. If coaches see that, they're like, okay, this is a way you can slow them down and stop them. Other teams are going to try to replicate that. So would you be interested in one Dylan Brooks?
No.
On the
I wouldn't
Knicks?
be. Tibbs would be. I guarantee you Tibbs would be, though. And honestly, I do think the Knicks need a couple 3-and-D shooters, but then they also need to kind of revamp the offense. And I hope that Tibbs takes a hard look at himself in the mirror and realizes that he's enabled a lot of this. If you do get that 3-and-D shooter or 1 or 2 3-and-D shooters, now you can trust your team a little more when you drive and kick. You know what I mean? But it's not like the Knicks didn't. I'm not saying the Knicks were the best 3-point shooting team. Obviously, this stats show that they weren't. But you still had like Grimes. You still had Quickly. You have RJ, who came on strong towards the end of the year. Like, it's not like they have nobody who can shoot the 3. And then on top of that, if you pass the ball, sometimes it comes back around. Jalen shoots a 3. Julius can shoot 3 when he's open, when he's stepping into it. So I don't want to hear the stuff that the Knicks didn't have the shooters. Now, they're not the best shooters in the world. I'm not saying they're a top, team to shoot the 3, but like they have shooters. Stop it. Let's cut it there because I don't want to dedicate the whole episode to the Knicks. Suns are interesting to me. Let's go to the Western Conference. The Phoenix Suns, they lose in 6. They get blown out again. Oh, my God. I can't believe it happened twice in a row. They fired Monty Williams, Kwab.
It's crazy.
Where did the Suns go from here?
I don't know. Maybe they might need like a Dylan Brooks type to. I was surprised by the Monty firing just because making that trade during it wasn't mid-season. It was like because the trade deadline was probably like 3/4 of the season. It felt like, and then KD getting hurt in like warm-ups, which was weird. They didn't really have enough time to gel. Chris Paul going down was a big thing, even though that it enabled Devin Booker to like have the ball in his hands more and step up. Then having like all these newer pieces and try to figure out how they play together and like the right opportunity. Like I don't know if it would have looked different if the team had more time. And also DeAndre Ayton didn't play the last game. He was hurt. And even though he's been catching a lot of flack the whole series, and it felt like the move that was going to be made was that maybe they were going to get rid of, which might still happen, but they were going to get rid of DeAndre Ayton and maybe Chris Paul, and then figure it out from there. But the Monty firing, I understand it, but I didn't see it coming, which it kind of still. I was just like, oh wow, it kind of shocked me. I'm still kind of shocked by it, but I don't know who you're looking for to replace Monty Williams.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know either. Monty's a hell of a coach. I think, if you're the owner of the Suns, I kind of get it from that perspective where it's like, man, 2 years in a row in an elimination game, our team not only falls off short, but like gets
get
absolutely
killed.
embarrassed.
Yeah,
Like absolutely embarrassed. And I understand, like the Suns were short, man. You didn't have Aiden, you didn't have Chris Paul. I don't think you would expect the Suns to win that game, but you don't expect to get blown out the way you did. I don't know how much of that is on Monty. I don't think it's fair to blame that on Monty, but I understand it if you're a Suns owner. Like, I get it. You know what I mean? But I don't know where they go from here. I don't know how much Chris Paul has left in the tank. I think if you bring him back, you have to monitor his minutes. You have to monitor how many games he plays because it just seems like at the end of the year, he always gets hurt. Like, I just feel like
yeah,
his body just gives out on him, which is unfortunate. I think having someone like a Tyus Jones might help. Like, if you kind of get him and he can be the backup so that if Chris Paul gets down, you don't really lose too much. I'm not saying that Tyus is on Chris Paul's level, even at Chris's age, but at this point in their careers, you're not going to lose too much. I don't know, man. They just gotta bolster that bench. They need more depth, but I think they can come right back next year. And depending on the moves that they make and the coach that they hire, I think they can be in championship contention.
yeah. I mean, if your main players are Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, you're always gonna have a
Yeah,
chance.
exactly.
Yeah, just got to fill out the rest of the roster and then figure out who's the type of coach you're looking for to lead this team. I'm trying to rack my mind. I don't really know what direction they're gonna go. And I saw something like they're interested in Ty Lue, but that's
Yeah.
gonna be hard to get him away from the Clippers. I think it would be really hilarious if like they get Steve Nash as the coach and then they sign Kyrie as the point
Oh
guard.
no, that would never
I, I,
happen.
yeah, I know it wouldn't happen, but just for my shits and giggles, I would love to see that happen. Just or maybe, hey, maybe Doc Rivers becomes available
Oh my
and
god.
they get that's
Oh
also
my
a
god.
possibility. I don't
Oh
know.
my
I don't
god.
know what direction they go. The other actual name I saw was like maybe Nick Nurse. I don't know. I don't know what direction they go in. So, but they're still gonna be one of the top teams in the West coming next season.
All right, let's move on to the Golden State Warriors. They lose in 6 to the Los Angeles Lakers. I guess a lot has to be done here. I don't think there's going to be a head coaching change. I think Kerr's going to be there for a while. But Clay, horrible series. It seems like Draymond's a little bit on the down. But their core seems to be a little bit on the downswing, with the exception of Curry. Jordan Poole plays like he's on cocaine. Dante DiVincenzo is like really inconsistent. They didn't really develop Kuminga, or they don't trust him enough to even playing him in big minutes. This team needs a huge makeover to me, and Bob Myers doesn't really do that, which is actually very interesting to me. So I'm interested to see what kind of reinforcements they have this offseason. What do you think needs to happen for the Warriors to come back, or is this dynasty over?
I'm confused about when people say like the dynasty is over. I
I
mean,
think it's over.
Curry is still there. Like for a
Yeah, but
dynasty,
he's
to me,
30. He's in 36 next year.
but okay, I completely understand that. But to me, when people say like the dynasty's over, it's like okay, well the main players in that dynasty have to be like falling off of there. You can tell there's a steep decline.
Yeah.
In To me, a player like Curry, even Clay, their strengths are not based on them being like athletic or like slow. You know what I'm saying? Like they can still shoot and score. That's a skill set that's never gonna leave.
Yeah.
Clay had a I'm not Clay had a horrible like series. Had a horrible
Yeah.
like the one and is the one play that like kind of shows up everything is when there's a play where LeBron is closing out, Clay catches the ball, and instead of closing out to Clay, he runs right to Curry and leaves Clay open for a three-pointer, which
Yeah.
is like to think about that, like you leaving Clay Thompson open for a three-point, like that's
Yeah.
nuts to me. I just think that a team like that they need a clean offseason. The way the season started with the Poole and Draymond situation, it kind of set a weird tone for the whole season, and
Yeah.
they went through a bunch of injuries. Somehow they still made the playoffs, and they got through the first round. I don't know what the situation is with Bob Myers, if he's going to end up like resigning, or like I heard they gave him multiple offers, but he hasn't decided yet. He's still trying to make up his mind. But
Yeah.
that team just needs to. I feel like if they make certain signings and certain tweaks, they're still going to be one of the better teams in the West. I understand the word the dynasty, but they're still going to be a top team, and they could still be a top team in the West. You still have Steph Curry. If you have a healthy Steph Curry, a healthy
Yeah,
ish
no, I get
Clay
that.
and Draymond, like you still one of the tougher teams to beat in the West.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I mean, I think I don't know if they're disappointed in the development of Kuminga, but obviously he's somebody who Steve Kerr didn't trust enough to even give run to in a series where they could have used athleticism, where they could have used somebody like his skill set. And I think they need to get more athletic. I think they need another playmaker. I think they need something outside of the split action. Let's run around the perimeter and try to get open for three. I think they need someone who can create kind of like an Andrew Wiggins. I know Andrew Wiggins is on the team. Go ahead.
Would you be interested in like like a Dylan Brooks type of? Never mind. I'm sorry. Go.
Okay. I haven't even like paid attention to like the free agency and like who's out there. So I couldn't even tell you who I would go after if I was the Warriors. So I just think they need to get more athletic. I think they need more playmakers. I think they need to stretch big. I think like a Brook Lopez would fit perfectly with them, but I think Brook Lopez would fit with a lot of different teams.
Yeah.
So I think they really need a roster U-Haul here, and maybe switch up how they play basketball a little bit, because everything doesn't have to be split action. I mean, there are times where it was like they had wide open layups and they would kick to the corner for three to Gary Payton. Like, it's like, all right, I understand he's open, but like if you have a layup, take it. Like Draymond plenty of times has like passed up on open layups. Plenty of times like they forced, action when it wasn't really there, but they forced it anyway because that's what they do. It just doesn't look as smooth as it used to be. And I think it's because maybe they lost a little bit of a step, and, with age that comes. So I think Kerr needs to adjust the way that offense is ran. I think you use more pick and roll with Curry, the ball in Curry's hands. I think you saw that work in Los Angeles this series, and I think you need to kind of build on that next year. I think there needs to be a little bit of a tweak. I think Kerr can do it. We'll see, but I also think they need some like roster adjustments.
Do you think that if Jordan Poole played like halfway decent, because last year he wasn't this, like he was inconsistent, but not like this.
Yeah.
Do you think it would have made a little bit of a difference? Because in your minds, having a player like him allows Steph to rest and sometimes play off the ball. You know what I mean? And gives him different looks, but it was just like he was terrible.
Yeah. I think the problem with Poole, and I think this is the problem with the Warriors now, was that they were so successful with the way that they played basketball. They won multiple championships, kind of just like, I wouldn't say winging it, but like using that split action where everything just kind of feels like chaos to everybody, but it seemed very organized. It felt like organized chaos. Now it doesn't feel like organized. It just feels like chaos. And I think Kerr set this precedent of, hey, you can shoot whenever the hell you want to shoot. There's no three that's a bad three. And Jordan Poole kind of takes that to heart and does whatever the hell he wants, but he's not as good as Clay. He's not as good as Steph. So this is what happens when someone has those guidelines and just isn't as good as the other two players are. On top of that, I don't think it's all Jordan, but like I said before, like there are times where like Draymond will have the ball and he's trying to set like a screen where he bounces it behind him and sets a screen, but like they'll be like in an awkward spot on the court where it doesn't really call for it. And it's like, yo, Draymond, you can drive right there. Like, why are you forcing this screen right here, this dribble handoff? It's not there. Like they seem to be too committed, like overly committed to like this offense that they run. There's no, I don't want to say improv because there is improv there, but there's just no framework outside of it that they can kind of rely on. Like Draymond not being able to go away from that kind of speaks volumes on me. You know what I mean? Same thing with Clay. Clay's shot selection is awful. It's going to catch up to you. You've been hurt and, you're not the player you used to be. I know he hates when people say that, but you're not. You're not the player you used to be. So to me, I just think Kerr needs to just fix the framework. And they're not as good defensively, too. Let's just say that as well. Yeah. Like, they were one of the best defensive teams in the league, during their dynasty. And now you're not. You're not that anymore. Yeah.
Very true.
All right, let's just move on to previewing the conference finals. Let's start in the West since we're still talking about the West. Lakers Nuggets Western Conference preview. Kwab, what's your first impressions?
It's gonna come down to the bigs staying out of foul trouble. I think that's that's gonna be the main thing this moving forward. Like, how will the Nuggets look if Jokic gets up in foul trouble and they have to go small with like Gordon? like how's that gonna look if he's out the game? Then on the flip side, it's like with how well AD has been playing defensively. Like, yes, he has up and down games offensively, but he still has been great defensively. He's been just so dominant. If he ends up getting in foul trouble, even though he doesn't foul out, but like if he has to sit down for a long period of time, how is it going to look against a team like the Nuggets who can score at such a high rate?
Yeah,
at the three and at the rim. Like, how's that going to look? So I think that comes down to whichever one of your bigs like can stay out of foul trouble and play consistently. Do you think that we're still not undervaluing, but underrating the Nuggets?
yes, I do. They're the best team all year in the West, and they were a team that I was vehemently like passionate for the whole existence of the dime up until this year. Where this year I was like, nope, I know their ceiling. I don't believe it.
Yeah.
I think the Nuggets, they were the best team all year for a reason. It's because they know themselves. They know themselves very well. You know, obviously the Lakers, this new version of the Lakers didn't exist all year, so maybe it would be different if the Lakers had this version of the Lakers all year, but they didn't. So that's all I can go by. To me, this series is going to come down to like the Michael Porter Jr.'s of the world, the Jamal Murrays of the world, because if you can get what they're capable of, I do think the Nuggets are the better team. I just don't know if I'm going to get that from them. You know, Jamal Murray, he's played well. He can be a little bit inconsistent. Same with Michael Porter Jr. I mean, there's games where like there was a game I think in Minnesota where he didn't score till the fourth quarter.
True.
You can't have that, you know, against this team. I think AD is going to have his way inside, even though Jokic is there. Jokic is at best an average rim protector. But Denver has guards, man. They have people who can play defense. Denver's a very underrated defensive team to me. You know, they have the personnel who, I'm not saying they're going to lock you down, but Aaron Gordon can play D, KCP can play D, you know, Murray, whatever. But like Jokic is average. You know, they have players who give effort and, you know, will make you work for your buckets. I think this comes down to basically Anthony Davis being consistent and imposing his will offensively. I don't think they're going to get as many easy buckets as they did against the Warriors. I think it's going to be very different. I think this is a harder team to guard. I wonder who they're going to put on Jokic. I don't know if they're going to put AD out there because I don't think they're going to want to bring AD out away from the bucket. So kind of seeing what Darvin Ham does there, like how are you going to guard Jokic? Are you going to stick AD on him because AD could be the best big man defender in the world? Or are you going to elect to keep him down low at the bucket so that, you know, when things come towards the rim, you can stop it? I don't know. It's going to be very interesting, but I think it's going to come down to whether or not Jamal Murray and like Aaron Gordon's and the Michael Porter Jr.'s of the world are hitting their shots and playing well.
That's a good thought because I'm wondering if they're gonna end up guarding each other. If Darvin Ham like elects to go with I don't know Vanderbilt on Jokic,
I don't think he'll do that. There's no way.
Like,
He's too small.
Yeah, but then who else? What would be the other option?
You can put Vanderbilt on Jamal Murray and just have like he's someone who like is going to be chased around like ball screens and things of that nature. He has the size advantage. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what the lineup would be with Vanderbilt. I don't think you put Austin Reeves on Michael Porter Jr. So maybe he'll put him on Porter Jr. But to me, it comes down to it really comes down to AD. Like that's what it always comes down to me. Like for the Lakers, it comes down to how well does Anthony Davis play? Because when Anthony Davis plays at his best, the Lakers are they're really freaking hard to beat. It's not about LeBron anymore. I mean, LeBron obviously has something to do with whether or not the Lakers win or lose. But if AD's dominant, this Lakers team is like, you know, they're a championship contender. So that's what I'm saying. I personally, I'm going to make a pick. I know you're not going to make a pick because you don't make picks. I am picking the Nuggets in 7.
Nuggets in 7. Okay.
I think it goes 7 games. I think we have a couple blowouts in each respective home court. But at the end of the day, I really do think home court's going to matter. And I also do think that I think Jokic is the best player in the world. I don't think it's debatable anymore. I think Jokic is the best player in the world. He's one of the best offensive big men I've ever seen. He's one of the best offensive weapons I've ever seen in my life, period. I mean, the fact that he has that much size and can make the decisions that he makes and the passes that he makes and has the touch that he has is unbelievable to me. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and he looks so relaxed doing it too. It's so weird.
And he has the weapons around him to capitalize on double teams. He has the weapons around him to capitalize off of backs. He has everything. You know, to me, just whether or not Anthony Davis can play out of his mind and match that, and I'm not sure if he can. So I'm going to take the Nuggets in 7. Jokic is the best player in the world. Going with the best player in the world.
Okay, I'm going to see what it looks like after I see game 1. Yeah, I don't like making picks, but yeah, I could see it going to 7 in the Nuggets' favor. I could also see it going 7, and I could see it going 6. I could see it going 6 in Lakers. Nah, man, no picks. Nah, I set picks. I don't make them.
Set picks.
I don't make them. Run the pick and roll. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure because I'm also
Kwab,
wondering
make a pick,
how
man.
I'm
Kwab,
wondering how LeBron is gonna look because I've been
yeah.
saying this throughout the series of the playoffs. He doesn't look healthy to me. Like you have like little moments where I'm
He
like,
played great
okay.
in game 6.
He had some eye popping moments where I'm like, okay, that's LeBron. Then he has some other moments where I'm just like, you're not moving correctly. Like you
Yeah.
just your gait looks wrong. Like you there's something wrong with that foot. I don't care that LeBron James or doctors told you to keep playing. There's something wrong with that. I don't care. Something wrong with that foot. So that factors into it. So like you said, the Michael Porters, the role players are going to factor into it moving forward. So yeah, we'll see what it looks like. So you have Nuggets in 7.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And you?
Okay, cool.
Let's move on to the Eastern Conference. Heat-Celtics Eastern Conference preview. This is I know you know what I want to say.
Yeah.
Oh my god. All right, logically, how can I? Okay. So,
man had to take a self timeout to get this
yeah.
together.
I think the Celtics are the better team here.
Mhm.
I think they have more weapons, obviously, on the offensive end. I think they kind of over reliant on the 3 ball, but I do think the schemes that the Heat used against the Knicks are not going to work here against the Celtics. If you double Tatum, he's going to kick it out. He's going to swing the ball. You got Derek White, you have Brogdon, you have Jaylen Brown, you have all these players who can hit the 3. It's not going to work. The Celtics actually they live and die by the 3, but I wouldn't test it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to make the Celtics die by the 3. I'm just going to cross my fingers and hope that they die, but I'm not going to force that.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what kind of scheme that Spoelstra comes up with here, how to defend the Celtics in general, not just Tatum, not just Brown, but the Celtics. Like who do you force the ball to? What goes on there? On the opposite side of the ball, I'm still not familiar with Mazzulla and how he handles things, but the Celtics are a very good defensive team. They made the adjustment of packing the paint against Embiid. With the Heat, they're a fantastic passing team, as you saw against the Knicks. I don't think they're going to double Jimmy. I think the film's going to show that, hey, if we do that, that's kind of suicide. And I don't think Mazzulla is going to be dumb enough to do what Tibbs did all series. And I think the Celtics have the defensive personnel to kind of keep up with the Heat on the perimeter. They don't have shot makers. As much as Max Strus is deadly from the 3, and so is Gabe Vincent, and so is Kevin Love. These are not players who can beat you off the dribble. So I do expect the Celtics to kind of stay at home more and maybe use Robert Williams a little bit to kind of protect the rim there. To me, it's a mismatch. I know the series went 7 last year, but that was last year. I think this Heat team is completely different than they were last year. I'm gonna say, I want to say Celtics in 5. I'm gonna say Celtics in 6.
Oh, that's very nice of you. Yeah,
Thank
the
you
Heat
very
are
much.
gonna win this. It's like
Stop it.
it's just there's no rhyme or reason. Like the Heat are gonna win.
There's no reason. I'm
no
not
reason.
even giving you analysis.
You want analysis? People want me to break down the blah blah. No, the Heat are gonna win this. Who do you trust more, Mazzulla or Eric Spoelstra?
That's a fantastic point. That's a fantastic point.
Who
I
do you
trust. Yeah, but Eric Spoelstra is not like shooting a 3. Eric Spoelstra is not dribbling a basketball. He's not on the court. I understand coaching means makes a big difference, and I understand coaching, is a big deal here. But I mean, you can't just out coach your way every single series to a series victory. Else Spoelstra would have 15 rings.
The difference is that when the Celtics have those weird brain farts that they do during the course of games, which as we saw against the Sixers, and the Sixers don't take advantage of it, I feel like Miami will probably do a better job trying to take advantage of it. On paper, the more talented team is the Celtics. Like that's been the case, but the more talented team was the Bucks. The more talented team on paper was the Knicks. It's just it's the Heat culture. It's just
Please shut up, Kwab.
that.
Oh, I hate you.
It's the Heat culture, baby.
It's
It's
not
just
culture, bro.
that's South Beach. That's South Beach warmth.
I'll say this: what you just said is one thing that worries me. Like the lapses that the Celtics have, where they start playing like a team that's not even in the NBA. And you said that last episode too, where it's like, what the hell's going on here? That's what scares me.
What are y'all doing?
That's why I said Celtics in 6 and not 7, because it's like they're absolutely gonna lose a game this series where it was like, what the hell was that? How did you lose that?
There's multiple times during games I'm like, I question the basketball IQ. I'm like, why was that a good idea? Why did you think that was a good idea? It's hard to be like, oh, the the Celtics are not going to win this just because they look like the favorite moving forward. Just
Yeah.
because you see explosive like games from like Jason Tatum like that where he just goes off of 50. You know how explosive Jaylen Brown can be. Malcolm Brogdon is a 6th man of the year. He can score the ball. They on paper they have everything. They have shooters, they have shot blockers, they have defenders on every, but they don't have Heat culture.
All right, so you're taking the Heat. You're making a pick.
Yeah, let me make a pick for this one. I'll say
I hate you, man. Who is it? Heat and what?
You want me to say Heat in 6? What do you say? Celtics in 6?
I'm saying Celtics in 6.
I'm saying Heat in 6 then. Let me go the other way.
And then
I'll go the other way for the Nuggets, the Lakers. Okay, I'll go Lakers in 6. Lakers in 6. Lakers in 6. Heat in 6. They're gonna.
You know I hate this.
What?
You know a song, because this reminds me about like every time the song "Cake" by Rihanna comes on.
Okay.
I hate the song "Cake" by Rihanna.
Song's fire. I don't know
why. You hate the song, Bob. You don't like the song.
Song's fire.
You don't like the song.
Song's fire. Who produced the song?
You don't like the song.
Who produced the song?
Every time the song "Cake" by Rihanna comes on, I get so mad because I hate the song, and I know Kwab thinks the song sucks. I know. I know Kwab. I know you, bro. You think the song sucks. You hate the song. But he says that he thinks it's fire just to piss me off.
I need you. Can you go on your phone right now? I need you to text Kofi and ask him what I think about that song.
You hate that song.
I need just.
I'm not trash
because I know. I think he's working a gig right now, so I don't know if he's going to be able to reply. But I want you to text him and ask him what does Kwab think about the Rihanna song "Cake." Just go ahead and.
I'll do that, and then I'll give an update next episode.
Yeah, do that. And while you're also doing that, I need you to look up who produced the song and that's the reason why I like the song.
We'll have an update next episode. I refuse to believe you like that song, though.
I love that song. It's great.
You don't love this song.
It's a great song.
You're lying.
It's a great song. It's an amazing song. It's a great song.
You're such a liar, bro.
Rihanna Navy. Like, what up, though? Like, it's just great song. What are we talking about? Like, it's
we're ending the show. We're ending the show here. It's almost been an hour. Kwab, thanks for joining me. It's the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. We're almost done. This is sad. Are you sad?
I'm sad because it's like I have to wait a couple of days to like watch a game, which I hate. Like I was enjoying having a game on or a couple of games on every single day. So it's like now I'm like watching like the G League, the G League Combine and stuff to
see who's next.
To see who's next for the draft that's coming up. So yeah, other than that, we'll see, man. I'm excited because it's gonna be interesting conference finals and then finals. So Heat culture and Lakers, baby.
Stop it, bro. All right, listen, if you want to follow Dime, you can on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at the Dime NBA. I'm Josh Rodriguez at Josh_Rodriguez_. He's Kwab at Kwab AKS, and he doesn't like the song "Cake" by Rihanna.
Yes, he does.
Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back in a couple of days. Until then, enjoy the conference finals, people. Peace.
Cake.
I hate you, bro. You don't like that fucking
cake,
song. You're lying.